Today's martial arts movie review is Book of Swords, starring Sung Pak, Richard Divizio, Young Pak, and Taimak. A lot of you might remember Sung Pak from the first two Mortal Kombat games from 1992 and 1993. If you know anything about the Mortal Kombat games, he was the guy that was playing Liu Kang. Richard Divizio, another person who was in the first Mortal Kombat game and the third Mortal Kombat game as Kano, and two other interesting cameos throughout the film. One being Daniel Pesina, was known for playing Johnny Cage, Sub-Zero and Scorpion in the first two games, and Katalin Zamiar from Mortal Kombat 2. She played Melina and Kitana. Those of you who are into the martial arts films, you know Taimak from the 1985 classic film The Last Dragon, which also starred the late Vanity from the band Vanity 6. Now, one thing to remember about this film is that it's quite a low-budget film. It was released directly to DVD, completely filmed in Chicago, and it makes note that no wires or special effects were used in the filming of the fight scenes in this film. Let's get to the main thing about watching martial arts films, fight scenes. And the fight scenes are spectacular in terms of this kind of movie. All the martial artists that are on display here are top level. There isn't anything that's cringeworthy, apart from some of the acting here and there. The fights are good fun to watch, but again, it's nothing that we haven't really seen before. So those of you who have seen a good chunk of straight-to-video martial arts films, you've probably seen a lot of what's in this film. The main novelty of this movie, again, is for you Mortal Kombat fans out there to see Sung Pak, Daniel Pesina, Richard Divizio in an actual movie, as opposed to the video games that we saw them in a long time ago. The movie starts out with scenes that are very reminiscent of the actual 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. I think this was done purposely. Something about the sets, the props, the opening forest scene, very Johnny Cage versus Scorpion, in my opinion anyway. Another thing to take note of is that the movie is copyright 2003, though the movie itself was, I believe, released around the 2007 mark. So this leads me to believe that the movie was shelved for some reason. It seems very chopped together. It's clearly been re-edited from a different state. Whether or not they filmed it, weren't happy with it, shelved it, thought they'd re-release it. It just seems very chopped together. A lot of unnecessary flashbacks and cuts. The shootout scenes are quite poor. There's a lot of the whole side shooting sort of rubbish going on. That kind of detracts a little bit. There's a few wooden actors here and there. There's a very slow pace to the film, which is unfortunate. The music is drowned out, even though the music seems to be quite fitting. And so it's also very reminiscent of the later Mortal Kombat games. Again, getting back to Mortal Kombat. Very eerie, something you'd hear in a low-budget horror film. Now, sadly, the rewatch value of this film is quite low, especially for people who aren't fans of the original Mortal Kombat games. I think the main appeal here is that factor. It's strictly for the fans, or like me, the fanboys of the first two best Mortal Kombat games. Back to the fights. The fight scene with Sung Pak and his real-life brother, Young Pak, just awesome. Choreography is awesome. I can't spot any faults, with the exception of a few scenes where things seemed a little bit forced or possibly not needed. The fight scene between Sung Pak and Richard Divizio, it's a very Liu Kang versus Kano sort of subway fight. It's quite fun to watch. It's quite fun watching these two fighting live action in an actual movie. Now, another element in the film that seems to be wasted is Tmax Appearance. Now, quite a talented, awesome sort of a guy. Sadly, his role is quite short in the film, and he doesn't get to utilise his pretty worthy martial arts skills. His acting also seemed a little bit forced as well, almost like he was supposed to be a stereotype, which unfortunately his character was. He's the best friend cop character, so spoilers aside, I'm sure you can kind of guess what's going to happen there. Sung Pak seems to be quite a cool guy. You may have also seen him movie-wise in 1994's Legend of the Drunken Master with Jackie Chan. He's one of the main guys in the last fight scene, which is, for me, the highlight of that movie. Let's just say it's not one of my favourite Jackie Chan movies. Getting back to Book of Swords, there are a few joke scenes that were inserted that seem to fall flat. Taimak referring to Eddie Murphy in the opening credits. I'm not sure why that was put in there. Getting back to some of the actors, Richard Divizio. He was also Quan Chi in the Sub-Zero game, the Sub-Zero one-off game. He's a Chicago-based martial artist. He's trained in several styles of Chinese Kung Fu, I believe. Young Pak worked behind the scenes on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles films, the original ones, with his brother, Sung Pak. I believe Sung Pak was also in one of the suits to one of the Turtles. They've done a lot of work behind the scenes with many films. Katalin Zamiar, she's only in the movie very, very briefly. Blink and you'll miss her, but again, she's very notable for her Mortal Kombat connection. She's, again, another Chicago-based martial artist. She's trained up in Japanese and Korean martial arts. You'll see her in the movie almost portraying a very ninja-like character, a nod to who she was in the video games. Daniel Pesina, the original Johnny Cage. Again, his scene is very brief, but he does get to have a good little fight with Ho Sung Pak in the nightclub. Again, another Chicago-based martial artist, focusing mostly in wushu, I believe, and other Chinese martial arts. For a lot of us, he is the original Johnny Cage. You look at him and you think, Johnny Cage. Again, as a nod to Johnny Cage, is he has dark sunglasses on. I remember watching the movie for the first time. He's the bartender and obviously the hired muscle for that establishment. I remember looking at him thinking, wow, who's this guy? He looks very familiar, almost like he appeared on the side of a Mortal Kombat machine. Good fun seeing him in a movie. He was involved behind the scenes in, I believe, the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. The movie that was lucky enough to have Vanilla Ice in the soundtrack. Another thing that's very notable in Daniel Pesina's fight scene is when he gets nailed with a very Mortal Kombat-esque uppercut. You know, the crouch, high punch, whoosh. So overall, Book of Swords, a fun movie for those of us who really appreciate good choreography, seeing real-life talented martial artists. It's definitely worth a look. It's not something you can watch again and again if you are a martial arts fan, and definitely if you're a fan of the original two Mortal Kombat games, you should give this a good look. Ho Sung Pak, exceptional martial artist, a very hard-working guy. Check out some of his other work if you can. He's been around, he hasn't stopped working in the industries. Hey, that's my review for Book of Swords. Enjoy.